Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Devo. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3rd, Chapter 6, entitled Creation of the Universal Form, text number 33. Padbhyāṁ bhagavato jajñe śuśrūṣā dharma-siddhaye tasyāṁ jātaḥ purusha śūdro yad-vṛttyā tuṣyate hariḥ padbhyāṁ bhagavato jajñe śuśrūṣā dharma-siddhaye tasyāṁ jātaḥ purā śūdro yad-vṛttyā tuṣyate hariḥ padbhyāṁ bhagavato jajñe śuśrūṣā dharma-siddhaye tasyāṁ jātaḥ purā śūdro yad-vṛttyā tuṣyate hariḥ. Matajis, word to word meaning. Padbhyāṁ, from the legs. Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead. Jajñe, became manifested. śuśrūṣā, service. Dharma, occupational duty. Siddhaye, for the matter of. Tasyāṁ, in that. Jātaḥ, being generated. Purā, formerly. śūdra, the servitors. yad-vṛttyā, the occupation by which. tuṣyate, becomes satisfied. hariḥ, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious function. Situated on the legs are the śūdras who satisfy the Lord by His service. Purport. Service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. The living entities are meant to render service to the Lord, and they can attain religious perfection by this service attitude. One cannot attain religious perfection simply by speculating to attain theoretical knowledge. The jñānī, division of spiritualists, go on speculating only to distinguish the soul from matter, but they have no information of the activities of the soul after being liberated by knowledge. It is said that persons who only mentally speculate to know things as they are and who do not engage in transcendent loving service of the Lord are simply wasting their time. It is clearly said here that the principle of service was generated from the legs of the Lord for the sake of perfecting the religious process. But this transcendent service is different from the idea of service in the material world. In material world, no one wants to be servant. Everyone wants to become the master, because false mastership is the basic disease of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul in the material world wants to lord it over others. Illusioned by external energy of the Lord, he is forced to become servant of the material world. That is the real position of the conditioned soul. The last snare of the illusory external energy is the conception of becoming one with the Lord. And due to this conception, the illusion soul remains in the bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself a liberated soul and as good as Narayan. It is actually better to be a Shudra than to a Brahmana and not develop the service attitude, because that service attitude alone satisfies the Lord. Every being, even if he be a Brahmana by qualification, must take to the transcendent service of the Lord. Both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam support that this service attitude is the perfection of the living entity. A Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra can perfect his occupational duties only by rendering service unto the Lord. A Brahmana is supposed to know this fact due to his perfection in Vedic wisdom. The other sections are supposed to follow the direction of Brahman Vaishnava, one who is a Brahmana by qualification and a Vaishnava by action. That will make the entire society perfect in regard to the order of its social construction. A disordered society cannot satisfy either the members of society or the Lord. Even if one is not a perfect Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, but takes to the service of Lord, not caring for the perfection of his social position, he becomes perfect human being simply by developing the attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyanta Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Namah. Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhu bevacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of everyone assembled here, especially senior devotees like Janmashtami Prabhu and others here, so that I can speak something for my own purification. So here we are reading the words. Everybody can repeat the translation after me. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious functions. Situated on the legs are the śūdras, who satisfy the Lord by service. Hare Krishna. I am feeling very honored and grateful for the opportunity to serve. At the same time, I am not qualified enough to serve, so I depend on all of you blessings so that I can speak something for my own purification. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, yad-vṛttyā matra sparsha ichha mohu bhavasindhu plavadrishto hariḥ varnam. In this material world, people are always in anxiety. Yad-vṛttyā. Why there is anxiety there? Matra sparsha ichhamu. Because there is desire to enjoy sense object. Senses are always desiring sense object, and that creates anxiety and suffering. How much suffering? Bhavasindhu, suffering, ocean of suffering. However, one can cross over this ocean of suffering. Bhavasindhu plavadrishto hariḥ varnam. By the boat of this hariḥ varnam, by boat of Krishna Katha, one can cross over all the ocean of miseries. Sometimes there are problems, difficulties, challenges, anxieties, worries, and we think what to do. And we may do so many things, but we forget to do the most important thing, which Bhagavatam is saying, that is hariḥ varnanam. This is the prescribed method to free from all the anxieties and miseries. Unfortunately, sometimes when we are in anxiety, misery, we are not able to chant, we are not able to hear Krishna Katha. Rather, more we are not able to hear or chant, more we need to hear and chant. Vyasdev, anartho upasham sankshat bhakti yogam adokshajay lokasya ajananto vidvams chakre satvata samhita. This, all the sufferings are there because of these impurities in heart, and all these impurities can be removed. Anartho upasham sankshat bhakti yogam adokshajay, just by practice of bhakti yoga, beginning with hearing and chanting. But unfortunately, lokasya ajananto, people don't know it. Therefore, chakre satvat samhita. Therefore, Vyasdev has written, compiled this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam, so that all the ignorant people of the world like us can be freed from all the anarthas and can become happily situated. So we are seeing the discussion between Maitreya and Vidura, and here from the universal form, this legs of this Lord śūdras are formed, and here it is said they satisfy the Lord by their service attitude. So this chapter is especially a little complicated, so but the purport of this verse is very, very wonderful. And in further some verses it is said, Maitreya Muni is talking to Vidura, tathapi kirtiyami anga yatha mati yatha shrutam kirtim hare so swam satkartum giram anyabhidhasitam. Okay, whatever I have heard, whatever I understood, whatever I have realized, according to my ability I will try to speak, because then tongue will be properly utilized, otherwise tongue will become asati. So he says, though I am not very qualified, still I am speaking. And similarly, though I am also not qualified, I will also try to speak something for my purification. So here we see that entire this purport, Prabhupada is speaking on service attitude. Prabhupada translated bhakti as devotional service, not just as devotion. Jivera Sarvhoy Krishnera Nitya Das. Everything, ultimately, our constitutional position is to serve. And everything has to be done with this mood of servitude, whatever we are doing. When it is done with servitude, mood of servitude, with service, that is very pleasing to the Lord. And here it is said that awards all perfection. Prabhupada is saying that just by mental speculation, one cannot achieve any perfection. But by rendering service to Lord, one can achieve perfection. And Prabhupada is mentioning purport that in the material world nobody wants to serve. That is the basic disease in this material world. People have this false mastership. We see when conditioned soul comes to this material world, he gets covered over by ignorance. Srimad Bhagavatam describes 5 layers of ignorance. First layer of ignorance is tama. Tama means one forgets his constitutional position. He forgets, I am spiritual being, Atma, part and parcel of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. So that is first layer of ignorance. Then he is covered by second layer of ignorance, that is called as moha. When one forgets one's constitutional position, and he is covered by moha, he starts identifying himself with this body. He starts thinking, I am this body, I am matter. So to consider oneself to be material, to consider oneself to be body, that is second layer of ignorance, moha. And then one is covered by third layer of ignorance, that is called as maha moha. Maha moha means to consider oneself to be proprietor, controller and enjoyer. In reality, Krishna is the proprietor, he is the controller, he is the enjoyer. But because one is covered by this layer of ignorance, mahamoha, one thinks, where is God? There is no God. I am only God. I am only proprietor. I am only controller. I am only enjoyer. And if person thinks oneself as proprietor, controller and enjoyer, then what does he do? He makes all plans for enjoyment. There is no plan for service. There is plan to enjoy. And what is the result of enjoyment? Plan to enjoy or enjoy. Every plan for enjoyment will be frustrated in this world. E sansarja bhoga dukkha ena evati adyantavanta kaunteya na te shuramati. Whatever you try to enjoy, end result is frustration. That is fourth layer of ignorance. Fourth layer of ignorance is anger arising out of frustration. When we make a plan to enjoy, that frustrates and one suffers. He makes another plan to enjoy, again that frustrates, and then he becomes more upset. So that is the fourth layer of ignorance, that is tamishra. And then fifth layer of ignorance is andhatamishra. When one after another plan one makes, finally he feels so much insecure. There is insecurity for his existence. There is survival concern. And ultimately there is fear of death. Actually soul has no death, but unfortunately living it becomes so fearful of death. That is actually the fifth layer of ignorance. That is andhatamishra. So because of this ignorance, we have forgotten to serve Lord, and we have falsely trying to enjoy in this world. So Prabhupada writes, it is an ultimate, Prabhupada writes, the last snare of illusory external energy in the conception of becoming one with the Lord. And due to this conception, the illusion soul remains in the bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself as a liberated soul and as good as Narayan. So last snare of Maya is to think oneself to be God. One can become, so one is part and parcel of God, insignificant servant of God, but falsely one starts thinking one is God. One time one sadhu went from India to America. He said, I have come here not to tell you I am God, but to tell all of us are God. And when we see one time when Giriraj Maharaj tells, first time he went to meet Prabhupada, Prabhupada, when he looked at him, he asked him, do you want to become God or want to become servant of God? Giriraj Maharaj was reading some Eastern philosophy books, and he had got this conception of Mayavad conception that we are God, everybody is God. And in his room he had put a big poster, I am God. And when Prabhupada asked, do you want to be God or do you want to be servant of God? Immediately he realized, oh, maybe there is something wrong in becoming God. Then he said, I want to be servant of God. Then Prabhupada said, okay, wonderful. So our bhakti begins when we understand proper sambandha jnana, that I am not God, there is God, and I am eternally servant of God. And our constitutional position is serve. And Prabhupada further writes in Purport, it is actually better to be a Śūdra than to be a Brahmana and not develop the service attitude, because that attitude alone satisfies the Lord. Sometimes one of the times so big and one may not serve. So Prabhupada is saying, okay, what is use of being a Brahmana and not doing service, and not having service attitude? Better to be a Śūdra with service attitude. Then one can satisfy Lord and one can achieve all perfection. Prabhupada writes about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Śūdra can perfect his occupational duty only by rendering service unto the Lord. Perfection of Brahmana is not that he is in goodness and he has so much knowledge. And no, perfection is whatever knowledge he has, he can use that knowledge in service of God. Similarly, Kshatriya, not that he has great power and strength and all heroic nature. Perfection is how he can utilize that in the service of Lord. Similarly, Vaishya, perfection is not that we can have a lot of land and a lot of cows and a lot of assets and properties. Perfection is how much we can engage that in service of Lord. And similarly, Śūdra, the perfection is how he can serve in humble mode. So a Brahmana is supposed to know this fact due to his perfection in Vedic wisdom. The other sections are supposed to follow the direction of Brahman Vaishnava. Prabhupada writes in Purport, Brahman Vaishnava. One who is Brahmana by qualification, one who has knowledge, understand. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. And Vaishnava by action. He's saying Vaishnava, one who is serving Lord. Even if one is not a perfect Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Śūdra, in this material world sometimes, it may be very difficult to become perfect in our professional duties, whatever. But Prabhupada is saying, even if one is not perfect, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Śūdra, but takes to the service of Lord, not caring for the perfection of his social position, he becomes a perfect human being simply by developing the attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. So just by rendering service, developing attitude of service, one can achieve perfection. So this is a great blessing of coming in touch with the Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. Very complicated, difficult things become very simple, and we can understand practically how to apply scriptural knowledge in our practical life. So here Prabhupada is saying, okay, whatever is there, if you develop service attitude and render service to Lord, all perfection is achieved. Doing service means that which is done with gratitude. Not that I do service and I think I have done great favor great favor to Lord. And maybe God should be grateful to me. God should give me something in return. Or maybe I have done this service, I have done great favor to Prabhupada, or I have done great favor to spiritual master. Or maybe I have done so much favor to these devotees by doing this service. They should do something for me. So that is not service. That is fruity mentality. Service means that which is done with gratitude. One feels grateful. Oh, I am so unqualified, but I have got this opportunity. This we see, Lord is perfect and complete. He doesn't need any service. And He has enough servants in spiritual world who are perfect to render service. But still He is accepting service. So if Lord accepts our service, we should feel extremely grateful, though I am unqualified. You see, Krishna is being fed and served with most expert, topmost devotees, like Srimati Radha and Gopis. Now imagine what kind of cooking Srimati Radharani must be doing. It is said she never repeats any 2 items any time, and she is so expert. Now we may cook something and offer to Lord. Now, and He has this alternative to be accepting cooking done by Radharani. But still He is accepting our food. So though He doesn't know it, He is not hungry. Still, that means by engaging us in service, He is doing such a great favor. So we should feel deeply grateful if we get opportunity to serve. Similarly, one should not think that I am doing some favor in the mission of Lord Chaitanya. If Lord Chaitanya has already said that Prithvi Tyachet Nagaradigram Sarva Prachar Hoi Morana. Lord's desire manifests everything. Rather, when we get opportunity to serve in the mission, we should feel, oh, I am so fortunate. Despite all disqualification, I have got opportunity to serve. Sometimes we see people, ordinary people, get big degrees and they go to job. And if they are not very qualified, they don't get job. Many times they have to go to 100 different companies to get a job. And when they get a job, they feel finally, oh, I have got. And here we say, despite all disqualification, anybody he voluntarily agrees to serve, Krishna accepts. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts. What a great mercy is that. Similarly, Prabhupada is accepting. Prabhupada went to hippies, engaged them in service. Similarly, see Prabhupada representatives, spiritual masters and all the leaders in ISKCON. We see they are providing us service opportunity. So when we get service opportunity, we should feel very grateful. And we should try to do such service in such a way that those who are giving us service and spiritual master and Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, please. If we please them, they will give more. And our real wealth is service. But if we don't do service properly, and we also do it grudgingly, and then naturally next time we will not get service. So one should know that service is a great wealth, and we should try to accumulate as much as possible wealth by our sincere service attitude. We see Srila Prabhupada, when he gave us chanting the holy names of Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He told the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna. What is the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna? Oh my dear Lord Krishna, oh energy of Lord Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your service. So, we are praying for service, and when we get opportunity to serve, actually that is great blessing. We are not praying that give us daily bread and butter, or give me this, give me that, material things, but we are praying for service. So, and when we serve, the byproduct of service is happiness. Happiness not as such material product which we can go in market, pay some money and purchase it. Happiness is not product but is a byproduct of selfless service rendered for the pleasure of Lord and devotees. But unfortunately, because of ignorance, people don't know this, that by selfless service one will be happy. People think by enjoying one will be happy. So unfortunately, modern education system, because there is no proper knowledge of the self, there is no proper sambandha gyan, abhidya gyan, prayojan gyan, everything has become topsy-turvy. People think I am this body, and this, they think there is no God, and this world has just come by chance, and all these things. So there is no proper sambandha gyan. And prayojan, what is goal of life? Goal of life is just to enjoy. Beg, borrow, steal, enjoy. And what is abhidya? Work hard, do something, cheat someone, do whatever, no? But that's actually, unfortunately, miseducation. Education means to understand proper sambandha gyan, proper abhidya gyan, proper prayojan. Understand, I am not this body, I am spiritual being, Atma. Krishna is Supreme Lord. We are all part and parcel of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. All this material world, all material energy, Prakriti is working under direction of Krishna. Time factor is manifestation of Krishna. So understanding everything in relation with Krishna, understanding that sambandha gyan. Prayojan, understanding the goal of life is to have love for Krishna. And love means service. One can develop that love by devotional service, bhakti yoga. So when one understands this, then actually one has proper knowledge. Otherwise, so-called education, which doesn't help us to develop service attitude to Lord, it's simply ignorance. It just aggravates one's material disease of enjoyment, and it just leads to suffering. But real knowledge awakens service attitude, and when one serves, it gives rise to ananda, bliss. Tamsoma jyotirgamaya. Don't remain in darkness. Jyotirgamaya, come to light. Don't remain in darkness of this bodily concern and trying to enjoy. Come to light, develop spiritual understanding, and develop this service attitude. Asatoma sadgamaya. Don't run after temporary things. Sadgamaya. Try to achieve eternal things. The devotional service to Krishna. Then mrityuma amritam gamaya. Then we can conquer death and become immortal and go back home, back to Godhead. So we see, Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, he just simply gave this Krishna consciousness, engaged them in chanting Hare Krishna, gave this knowledge of science of soul and God, knowledge of Bhagavatam, engaged them in Harinam Sankirtan, and just by doing that, fed them prasadam, the hippies were transformed. So, government of America was spending millions of dollars to free hippies from LSD and all this thing, but not a single hippie they were able to transform. But Prabhupada, just by giving this Harinam Sankirtan, just by giving prasad and especially this knowledge of Gita, he was able to transform this real knowledge. So we see Prabhupada himself was a personification of bhakti. He himself did everything with love and devotion. And he was so grateful and happily served. He was an old man, but he was serving hippies himself. He was cooking for them. He was giving classes. He was himself going purchasing. He was doing practically everything. So, Jayanpur tells, when he first time came to San Francisco, and he met Prabhupada. Actually, he was, before that, though he was an engineer, graduated, but he was very dissatisfied. And he was finding emptiness in his heart. And he was just, he couldn't fit in the upper class of society, so he was just voluntarily driving taxi. And when he first time met Prabhupada, just by meeting Prabhupada and seeing his humility and service attitude, his love and affection, immediately could understand, here is a person, he will never cheat me. And then he surrendered and he started coming to temple every day. When Prabhupada in January 1967 came to San, every day Jayanpur was there coming and hearing Bhagavatam class. Sometimes there was no one, only one person. Prabhupada was giving class to only Jayanpur. So And we see Jainpu, just by association of Prabhupada, he became so enthusiastic. And Jainpu was actually personification of service attitude. Those times ISKCON had no good financial backing, so Jainpu took up the responsibility of managing temple. He was the first person to get up in the morning, do whole morning program, and after that he used to go out driving taxi. And by taxi time, whatever Lakshmi would come, with that he would run the temple. So for Vaishnava, no service is high or low. Like Prabhupada was doing all kinds of service. Similarly, Jainpu also, he was happy driving taxi, and then though he had to join temple and all these things, he was doing all kinds of service. He used to clean toilet, he used to go out and get the grocery and sabjis and fruits on donation. He was so enthusiastic, and he was so enthusiastic, engaging everybody in service of Lord. Just by seeing his enthusiasm, so many shopkeepers used to give him free of cost all the fruits and vegetables and all these things. And he also felt that he is actually engaging in service of Krishna. So he was very confident and joyfully engaging them, and he himself was engaged very happily. So, and he used to do everything with such joy and happiness. One time, one new person came to temple, and the temple leader, he engaged him in service with Jainpu, and Jainpu was cleaning the dustbin, garbage and all this thing, and he was so doing so joyfully. This person was saying, "Arey, if a garbage man can be so happy, this devotion, what to speak about all other devotees, you know?" So when one has service attitude, he is always blissful, no matter what service is given. We see when Prabhupada later wanted to print books, he had some Lakshmi, he gave $5,000 to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was so grateful. Jainpu was very careful. He was very conjuice transcendentally. He would not spend any money for himself. But for when Prabhupada wanted to print book, he gave all $5,000. He would live very simple life. Even he used to be very thoughtful, even for purchasing any new cloth. He would try to get old clothes so that he doesn't have to spend money, Krishna's money. And he was always morning till night engaged in service. One time one devotee went to Jainpu and said, "My dear Prabhuji, can you tell me? I have been hearing that you are a very advanced devotee. All devotees glorify you very much. Can you please tell me how I can advance in Krishna consciousness?" Jainpu said, "Prabhuji, somehow I am so busy in service, I don't know how to advance in Krishna consciousness." So he was not just imagining, thinking how to advance. He was actually engaged in service. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, don't try to see God. Try to serve God in such a way that God wants to see you. Similarly, he was not very enthusiastic to go in front of Prabhupada. Rather, he was very enthusiastic to serve the instruction of Prabhupada. And when Prabhupada would come, many other devotees would be in front, but Prabhupada used to ask, "Where is Jayanand Prabhu?" You know? And Jayanand Prabhu would be back in the kitchen, cleaning the vessels or doing all these things, and Prabhupada used to call him. Because he was always engaged in service. Prabhupada very much appreciated him. Later on we see when he got cancer, still he was not worried. Rather, he was so enthusiastic, making plans to start the first New York Rath Yatra. And he was so absorbed in that New York Rath Yatra, he hardly cared for his cancer. And then finally, when that New York Rath Yatra was a grand success, first time in the history, 1976 Rath Yatra was done in Manhattan, New York, the most important city, most important street. Prabhupada was so happy. And seeing Prabhupada so happy, he felt perfection of his life. That time he was actually seriously sick. He had a cancer, but he did not bother about that because of his service attitude was overwhelmingly, to please Prabhupada. He hardly cared. But later on, devotees pushed him to go to the hospital and all these things. But even when he went to hospital, he was engaging doctors, nurses, everybody in chanting Hare Krishna. And he did not want to spend money for his health because he was thinking, anyway, I am going to die. What is the use of spending money on this dying body? And whatever savings he had, actually, he gave to Prabhupada for pushing forward Krishna consciousness. And later on, when he left the world, Prabhupada said he has gone back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada was very pleased with his humble service attitude. He may be not a GBC or a sannyasi, but by his humble service attitude, he achieved all perfection. And Prabhupada said that every year we should celebrate his disappearance day. So he left the body during Prabhupada times, and he said, like we celebrate Vaishnava Acharya's disappearance day, we should celebrate Jain Prabhu's disappearance day. So Jain Prabhu, by his own example, demonstrated how anyone can perfect his life by humble service attitude. Also Prabhupada said, whenever we do Rath Yatras anywhere, we should have a picture of Jain Prabhu on Rath, remembering his sacrifices for establishing Rath Yatra in the Western world. He was the first to establish Rath Yatra in San Francisco and then many other cities around the world. So here we see in this verse, it is said that service was manifested from the legs of Supreme Personal Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious functions, situated on the legs of the śūdras who satisfy the Lord by service. And we see whole purport proper speaking about service attitude. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if anybody has comments or any questions, you can take for a few minutes.
Hare Krishna, very good class. I'm wondering, you were saying that when we do humble service, then we have the opportunity to do more service. The more service we do, the more satisfied internally we'll be, the happier we'll be. So, my question is, when is prayasha applicable to a devotee who's trying his best to serve in Prabhupada's mission? I mean, sometimes you see devotees, they got so much service that they can't maintain their sadhana standards. It seems like that's the borderline.
Hare Krishna. I'm also struggling with these things, so maybe if you can throw some light on it.
Well, I asked this question in the mid-'80s to Satsrup Maharaj, who had so much of Prabhupada's association, and that was his response. If we take on so much service that we can't maintain the sadhana standards that he set, then it's prayasha, and there'll be negative ramifications. And I saw this with very senior devotees with huge amount of service. I won't mention any names, and they had serious challenges in their devotional lives. So I think it's reasonable because Prabhupada put as the highest priority, look at the purport of Madhya 22:113, Smartavya Saptam Vishnu Vishmartavyo Nujatuchit Sarve Vidhi Nisheda Shur Itayor Eva Kinkara. One should always remember Krishna, one should never forget him. All the rules and regulations are simply servants of these two principles. And then the purport, Prabhupada says that all the instruction to the spiritual master, the chanting 16 rounds is the most essential,
yes,
important. And that's fully supported by the other aspects of our morning program.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji is telling how we can take that much service which doesn't affect our basic sadhana, especially chanting 16 rounds. If that gets affected, then it may lead to prayas. And then instead of doing that service, it may become a disservice to ourselves and others. And the mood of service attitude also gone. Then there will be fruitive mentality and so many other challenges come. And sometimes we may just do service for sake of showing off, than actually doing with that mood of servitude. Yeah. So yes, our devotional service, everything we do, sadhana is a service, and other services we do is service, preaching is service. But among all the services, chanting 16 round is the most important service.
There's another really important reference in this regard, and this is a morning walk that Srila Prabhupada had with Dhananjaya. I think it was in 1972 in Vrindavan. It might have been later. I haven't been able to find it, but I had it at one point. And Prabhupada said to Dhananjaya, health first, sadhana second, service third. So that was the prioritization that Prabhupada gave. And for good health, then the sadhana can go on. If the sadhana is good, then the service is done in a humble mood.
Yes. Thank you. Wonderful. You want to add something, Prabhu?
My dear friend Gauranga Prabhu, I meet him time to time, and we both share many things about our life, how it's going and how we can improve. So in one occasion he was telling, 9 a.m., right now it's going to be 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you take me, I am yours, he said. And then 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., it's my time. Don't touch me. So that is his formula. That means night, 9 o'clock you sleep, morning you get up at 2:30 or 3. From that time till 9 a.m. is sadhana time. We should do our study of Prabhupada's books. Even while bathing, shaving, we can hear Prabhupada's recordings. We can hear. Then we do japa very attentively without, mobile should be in the locker. And then you do japa peacefully and then attend the Bhagavatam class, dance in Guru Puja with all the devotees. And then after hearing Bhagavatam class, now you are fully energized. Just like Bhima drank the elixir, he got the strength of 10,000 elephants. Similarly, we can spiritually strengthen ourselves. Then 9 a.m. onwards, we can allow the world to pull us in all directions. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Harivo. Thank you very much. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class. Prabhuji, regarding this service attitude, we pray also, I pray also in chanting and other time also. But when services comes, so along with services, there are challenges, difficulties, problems, and sometimes there is a chance, opportunity of getting failure. So
The chance of?
Being failure in service. So when with such pictures services comes, then mind says that I don't want it, and then with false ego, then argument happens, and instead of accepting service, one rejects the seva. In spite of knowing that means there is a with services, when challenges, difficulties comes, how to face them and accept them happily.
I am trying to understand because when services come which are little challenging, how to accept them?
Yes.
Knowing well that there are many challenges. As we are discussing that service is a mercy coming from Krishna, and we should see that service in that way, and we should know that if I take up service, I'll get purified. More we take responsibility on behalf of Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas, more we get purified. Because we are impure, we are struggling. So service is opportunity for our purification. So, so service we should do as per whatever guidelines have been given. And within that we do. And if we want to do service, we can consult. It's not that we have to do. If we don't know, we can consult other expert devotees. And especially if we take guidance from expert devotees, we'll get many helpful tips. And if you do mistakes also, no problem, because devotees are kind, forgiving. Krishna is also very kind. In service, if you do mistake, there are no offenses in the sense, because if attitude is of service attitude, and gradually we'll learn. And we can take little and then more and more, depending on, instead of taking a very big things if you are very uncomfortable. But if some senior devotee said, no problem, you take up, I am there with you, then we can take up. And whenever we need some help, we can consult. That is a benediction of, actually now all of us, because we have so many senior devotees, we have Prabhupada disciples and there are senior disciples of senior gurus, and then there are so many senior devotees. So in one way, we are very blessed. During Prabhupada times, maybe all devotees were not so fortunate because some of the seniors were seniors, they had to do everything on there was, and only one Prabhupada and he was traveling all over. They had not that much close opportunity to consult everything, but still they were consulting by writing letters, and Prabhupada was also very eagerly responding. But now we have so many expert devotees, senior devotees, experienced devotees, we can take their guidance, and under their guidance if we do, then we can be safe. Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay. And yes.
To tell about Acharya Prabhu, as his name has the word Ratna, diamond, his life is of three things which he said in his talk: humility, service attitude, love and affection. So, humility, not false pride; service attitude, not complacency; and love and affection, not impersonalism. So he is a wonderful devotee. In Pune, when he was in Pune, he gave so much, these qualities he exhibited. Devotees are very fond of him. Currently he is in Calcutta here. So this topic that he elaborated, he actually stands for it. Because of that he has won the heart of many people. So we always call him Diamond.
Yeah, this Vaishnava means always want to glorify. Actually, I have no qualifications, but the Prabhu is always encouraging. I'm extremely grateful for his encouragement and training and inspiration. Thank you very much. Okay, we have, in case, 2 minutes. Last question. Okay.
Hare Krishna Guruji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. So I was just contemplating on this topic of service. In our initial days, like I was very much part of the youth forum under your guidance and Rajaram Prabhu's guidance. So we are in very much close association with our Siksha relationships. So service would be given with a very strong monitoring and guidance. But as we grow in the years in Krishna consciousness, there is to some extent some freedom. Especially in Grihastha situation, we can pick and choose sometimes what service should we take up. And also there are responsibilities which are very much like time sensitive, it has to be done. For example, ladies in the house, they must take care of children at a certain time. The men should go out to earn some money at a particular time. But then as devotees, I might have a tendency that I don't want to do such duties, and I am telling that I have this service. So we pick services which are like I like to do, and I don't like to do my prescribed duties or conditional duties in that sense. So to understand from where the service should come, which is perfect for me, which will really please Krishna, and not get into a trouble by picking and choosing services in a wrong way. So what's the best approach?
So let me try to understand your question. So you are saying that since as a grihastha we have freedom and we can choose and pick up, and we get service from many different directions. So which service to accept, which service to reject? Sometimes we may end up taking services that we like very much, and we may not do service which are important to be done. Okay, how to? As both our Janmashtami Prabhu said and Rajaram Prabhu said, first service is our sadhana. We should do that properly. He was saying that chanting 16 rounds. Rajaram was telling 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. give time for Krishna. And then 9 to 9, we can do services. Like we have our job, which is also service, earning Lakshmi to maintain Krishna conscious family. That is also service. And then we have actual service to take care of body also, as Prabhuji was saying, health, taking care of health, taking care of family, taking care of this. And beside that, then we may have some service for other service like preaching or volunteering for some menial services and other things. So, because wherever we are part of a community, we see community is looking for some devotees. So we can see what we can be part of local communities and local leaders, whatever they want, we can volunteer them. And then if you locally get connected, local leadership, we develop relation, and through that locally volunteer, we'll also get a lot of encouragement, association. Nowadays people are so much online connected, but okay, online connected is not complete association actually. They are staying one place, they are connected. That is also good, you can do, but also locally wherever we are, we develop relationship with local devotees and be a part of local community and serve as per local leadership. It can help. But as we have to balance the things. Now, when a small person or child is there, everything mother, father may do. They don't have to apply their brains. But when children grow up, they have to be intelligent, they have to be thoughtful, they have to learn the art of making decisions. Similarly, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, maybe we may be told, do this, do those. But after we grow, then we have to be intelligent and we have to become responsible for our lives, responsible, and then make appropriate decisions. And when we are confused, we can consult. And sometimes we do mistakes, that's not a problem, as long as we learn from the mistakes and then we don't repeat those mistakes. So in that way we grow on. As long as our desire is to, our goal is clear, I want to serve Guru Parampara, I want to serve Prabhupada in mission and get purified and go back home, back to God. There may be many ups and downs, but through that we can learn and grow. Okay? So, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. I am feeling actually very blessed to associate senior devotees here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.